My name is Jack Walsh. I'm chairman of the Parks and Rec Commission in Derby, and on behalf of the entire city, I want to welcome you to the fields at Witek Park, the finest soccer facility in the state of Connecticut. You know, everything is in place now for a great day. I know it's been years in the making, and an awful lot of people that have been involved in this, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears. But I think today you see the product of it. And I'm always big on rehashing the history of both the city and also this area. And I just want to go back a little bit, because just this morning before I came up, I was reading a book by Albert Sherwood. And Albert Sherwood lived right in the area here. Albert Sherwood grew up in Derby, and his family owned a farm, the Sherwood Farm. I'm not sure what area of the park they were on, but they were here somewheres. And in his book, he describes his childhood up and growing up here. And he describes the building of the reservoir down below us. Because when you go back in the history of Derby, this is one of the oldest settled areas. When the first Europeans came, took the land from the Indians, they settled up here. Of course, it's the highest point in the city of Derby. They could see the rivers down below. They started farming this area, and a lot of this land, which had been forest, was cleared and made into meadows. And that's where they farmed. And that's the way it stayed until 1859. And by 1859, the history of the city of Derby had changed quite a bit. This part was called the Old Town. And by 1859, the borough of Birmingham was growing dramatically on the other side of the river. And that was the industrial center of the city. But one thing that that part of the city lacked was an adequate water supply. There was a reservoir, believe it or not, over on Caroline Street, but it wasn't enough to supply that area. So the industrials formed the Birmingham Water Company, and they bought the farmland here. And there was no big pond here as there is today. There were several brooks running through the property. And in 1859, Albert Sherwood described how he and a bunch of others were hired by a firm from Springfield, Massachusetts, that came in and built the dams there, provided the water supply for the borough of Birmingham down below, and immediately one of the side products was recreation. Hadn't been planned for, but as soon as the brooks were dammed and the lakes were formed behind it, became a center where people went swimming initially, ice skating, sailboats on the ponds. Of course, that really was not a great idea, I hate to say it, because that was also the city's water supply. And of course, over time, they stopped that use. The health department figured out that it really wasn't a practical use. But you know, a century later, the water company did not need the water any longer. They needed the water, they didn't need the reservoirs. And the city administration and the good people of the city of Derby had the wisdom to buy the land back. And you think about it now, that was in the late 1990s. And in 1999, they dedicated the beginning of a beautiful park. This is 144 acres of open space in the city of Derby, which is quite significant for a town our size. And the first thing they did was to open the park in honor of one of the great veterans, not only in Valley history, in Derby history, but the entire Valley, the only Congressional Medal of Honor winner in Valley history, PFC Witek. And with that came the trails. And you know, I would urge you, come and watch the soccer, but please, take a walk around. We have something that's extra special here. And this is bought by the people of Derby, for the use of the people of Derby. And today's your first chance to see this part of it. But it is a park, and there's a lot here, and I'd urge you to use that. With that, enough of the history. I can't help myself. I was a teacher for a lot of years, and history is important to me. With that, I'd like to turn the microphone off to the leader of the town, because things don't get done unless someone at the top makes the decision, makes the commitment, and makes it happen. And that person in our city is Mayor Anthony Staffieri. Mayor?
Thank you, Jack. Good afternoon, everyone. What a beautiful day, huh? In so many ways. Within weeks, we'll be looking at the beauty of fall. This and springtime are my favorite times of the year. The beauty of fall as we enter winter, and the wonder of spring, a rebirth. Witek Park is God's gift to all of us. As you all know, this park was named after Medal of Honor winner PFC Frank Witek. It is 143.5 acres, previously owned by Birmingham Utilities. On March 19, 1997, the people of Derby overwhelmingly voted to purchase this beautiful piece of property. The concept of buying this property was done while Alan Schlesinger was our mayor, and the actual signing of the deed to purchase the property was done shortly after the Garofalo administration took office. There are many discussions and disputes during the next couple of years, some of them being rather controversial, and the city finally put out to bid the construction of these fields on October 1st, 2003. When I was honored to become your mayor last December, this project, as others, had fallen behind schedule, was not being constructed to the quality the people deserved, and many of us questioned whether it would be fields our children would get the years of use we wished them to. Where is Ken Hughes and Phil Marcuscio? There's Mr. Hughes.
Right here.
And Mr. Marcuscio over there.
He is standing up.
We owe these two men our thank you. And thank you doesn't seem to be enough. Ken Hughes spent months, no, I'm adding a word. Ken Hughes months ago took Witek Park at his own personal crusade. He has spent hours and hours as a volunteer, insisting on the highest quality of turf, insisting on drainage this way as opposed to that way, which was done wrong. Now it's done right. I don't think we would be here today looking at these beautiful fields if Ken had not been willing to give so much of his time, his education, and his expertise. Ken, on behalf of the people of Derby, I thank you. Phil Marcuscio, his knowledge, his expertise, his willingness to be there each and every time we had a problem, and makes him huge. Phil, please accept my thank you on behalf of each and every citizen of Derby. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause. That is more than well due. Derby's on the move. We are moving so fast it is not only incredible, but exciting. Our greenway is open and soon will be expanded within days. You will finally see the buildings on Main Street begin to disappear finally. Soon you will hear about the old Kmart Plaza. Soon we'll have a new hotel. And soon we will see construction, which will be the beginning of the downtown that will be the envy of not only the Valley, but the state of Connecticut. It is an exciting time for Derby. Projects that should have been done years ago are now beginning to happen. Take a moment and think. Think of hundreds, thousands of young boys and girls, of young men and women who will run the wind at their backs along these beautiful fields. Think of the physical beauty of them, exercising, filling their lungs with clean air. Think of the excitement of winning and the lessons they will learn after a loss. Think of the parents on the sidelines, cheering, yelling, seeing the most beautiful sight a parent can ever see, their children having fun. God, please give them good, clean, healthy fun. It is for those wonderful children, not only of today, but of generations of Derby children of the future. I officially open these fields. May God bless each and every one of them, and may God bless the city of Derby and the USA. Thank you. Jack?
We have a few other people that we'd like to hear from today. You know, again, I alluded to this being, I think, the finest soccer facility in the state of Connecticut, and I'm going to ask our legislative delegates to come up here and kind of echo that, because we have two of our representatives with us today. And I'm going to start with Themis Claridis. Themis, would you like to come up and say a few words?
I don't even know what to say. This is so beautiful. I mean, and it's very rare that I'm speechless, as anybody who knows me can attest to. I remember driving up the driveway today, I think, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but the last time I was actually up here, since I don't play soccer, was I don't know, it was 4 or 5 years ago, whatever, we actually dedicated the PFC Witek Memorial down at the end, and I didn't even see the road. I mean, I know, I follow everything that's going on, I talk to the mayor and everybody that's been so involved, but it is just beautiful. I mean, I am so proud to live in this town and represent the great people of Derby, and I'm so proud of Mayor Staferi and Kenny Hughes and, you know, Phil Marcuccio and everybody that's been part of this project, because this is what it's all about. You know, I mean, I had people, person after person, year after year, complaining we didn't have enough soccer fields because soccer's growing, and it was really never a sport I played, but I understand it's a big deal. And, you know, we talked to so many people, and this wouldn't have happened without everybody here being active citizens of this town and calling the mayor's office, calling us as representatives and senators, talking to the boards of education, doing everything we did, and more importantly, the hard work of everybody. Representative Gentile and I are just happy to be here. We're just proud to be part of it and glad you included us, but I am very proud of every single person here, all the parents, everybody on the boards, in the mayor's office, that everybody that was part of this, and you should be very proud of yourselves. Thank you.
And Linda Gentile has also been a fantastic supporter of the city of Derby, even though we'll forgive her, she's from Ansonia, but her heart's here. Linda?
Thanks, Jack. Good afternoon, everybody. I know you're anxious to get your game started, so I'm not going to be long. I really want to echo the comments of Representative Claridis. This really is a very, very proud moment for the city of Derby. But I do want to set the record straight. Since you have this facility now, and obviously since Jack Walsh has time to read a book, there's not enough programs and there's not enough youth programs, so you got to get busy on that and make him busier so he doesn't have time to read. And I just want to say, as I was walking up here this afternoon, I was commenting to some of the individuals on my way in. This is about the children. I looked at them running around, I looked at them smiling and laughing and playing, and God bless all of you. You're just beautiful, and it's just a very proud moment for me to be here with you. So, I would like all the soccer players to stand up, and let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys. This is all about you, so you keep on playing your little hearts out and have many, many, many years of fun here. Thank you.
All right, I've got to ask a question of all the parents. How many of you would like to have your front lawns look like the grass does here? Huh? Okay. And I asked that as an introduction to our next speaker. Ken Hughes is president of the board of Aldermen in the city of Derby, but he and Ken Marcuccio have formed a separate team to ensure that all of our facilities, you know, have the look and feel that they should. And this is the first product of that. And again, as I said before, I think any of you would love to take this grass home and have it as a showpiece for your home. And with that, let me introduce Ken Hughes, who's the man responsible for the grass looking as good as it does. Ken?
Thank you, Jack. I promise to keep this brief.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The city of Derby has a poor track record of not taking care of properties that we own. This was an underlying reason why I ran for alderman last November. Starting with the Greenway and now Witek Park, this record is going to change under Tony's administration. I look to everyone here to make sure these fields stay in the same condition throughout the years as you see them in today. The construction phase is over. Now comes the proper management and maintenance. It is everyone's responsibility to respect and care for what we have here before us. I promise you I will. I would like to take a moment to thank Malone McBroom and Bill Schultz for bringing this project to life, and also to AquaTurf Irrigation, Dave and Mark DeAndrea, and Ronnie Kumo and his Public Works crew for performing the maintenance. Please, everyone, have fun and try to stay off the grass.
He only means when you're not playing. Need to thank someone else who was a bear in ensuring that this was done properly, and that was the Inland Wetlands Commission. As they reviewed the plans, you know, though they were for the park, they were also very adamant that if we did this, it had to be done and done correctly. And I know Fred Colombo was a tiger in saying, hey, you have to have a turf management plan, you have to make this work. And I still see some of the scars from some of the things that were said about Fred during the 2 years. But again, he was adamant that if it's done right. So I'd like to ask Fred to come over and say a few words.
Thank you, Jack. Mayor, representatives, citizens, and children of Derby. This is truly a great moment in my life. When this application came before us from the previous administration, we knew that the city had bought the property and we're paying taxes for it, and we just wanted it to be done correctly. And hopefully, as you see, it has been done correctly. And we're looking to the future also that it, like Ken says, proper maintenance is very important. And I want to thank the citizens for having patience, and the children. I was a former teacher, retired teacher, 35 years, and I know what the kids are going through just wanting to play on the field, but also to use the park other than the soccer area. Like Jack said, there's 144 acres. There are beautiful trails down by the reservoir, fishing areas, park areas. So it opens this up to the entire city for the use for everyone. So please enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. We've heard from all the people who are involved in getting us to this point. So I think that maybe it's time to hear from the people who are going to be the users of this facility. And I'd like to start by asking Bill Harris to come up. Bill is going to speak on behalf of the youth soccer program in town, which was really the driving force in creating the need for this. Bill?
Thanks, Jack. Speaking for Derby Youth Soccer, who's one of the beneficiaries of this fine facility, we'd just like to recognize some of the folks who we believe made this all possible, and also point out that those folks that made it possible exhibited some of the traits we talk about in athletics. Traits of courage, integrity, and determination. And so first, we'd like to recognize the administration of Mark Garfalo, because they had the courage to go do the right thing, to get the plans in place to build these fields. And I also think it took quite a bit of courage for that administration and the tax board and the Board of Aldermen to approve the money for this. Because approving money in Derby, spending money in Derby, sometimes does take courage. Second, we want to recognize the administration of Mayor Stafiri, because they had the integrity to make sure that these fields were finished properly, that the investment the city made, that they were getting true value for the investment they were making. And they're putting a structure in place to make sure that investment is going to be there for years to come for all the citizens of Derby and the soccer players to enjoy. And finally, I have to tell you that I admire the determination of this gentleman right here, Jack Walsh, and Al Felice, and Dennis O'Connell, because they've been carting plans for this around since 1994. I helped carry some of them with them, but If that isn't determination to make sure this thing happens, I don't know what is. And so to close, I can't help but think that PFC Witek isn't smiling today, because what got these fields built was some of the things that a Medal of Honor winner has to have. That courage, integrity, and determination. So on behalf of the soccer players in Derby, both the youth soccer players, and I'll even extend it to the high school, because they do let me participate a little bit with the high school team. Thank you very much, and we think the fields are great.
Yeah, as Bill mentioned, the high school program is also going to be using this facility. In fact, you see our boys JV team, which actually played the first game at Witek Park earlier this morning. And I'm going to ask Leo DeSorbo to come up and say a few words on behalf of the Board of Ed.
There's probably another gentleman I think we should thank out here. I've been a part of Derby Youth Soccer probably for about 7 or 8 years. My cousin Mario Testatore, who's been a warrior, an advocate here, and a very important part in us having this here today. Mario, thank you. Also, we at the board are excited. I mean, we get an opportunity to watch our varsity program play up here. And it's proud to announce that the varsity program is 2-0 already, Joe? 2-0 already, the Derby High varsity program. And we'd like to recognize the coaches, Anoop Kanar and Joey Staferi. We would urge everyone to come out to support them. I think we have a game Tuesday night, 6 o'clock at Ryan Field. Again, thank you, Tony, and your administration. Mark, thank you. We're delighted to be here. Have a good day.
Thanks, Leo. I'm looking out in the audience. I recognize some people that should be recognized. I see former Mayor Mark Garfalo down in the audience, and Alderman Bassey. And Bill certainly was eloquent on their role in this. I see another former mayor, John D. Barberry, over to the side. We mentioned the design and construction. I see John Gilmore is here from Mylone and McBroom, and they were the ones who designed this field. I don't know if is Bill Schultz around? I don't see him here. Put a lot of hours in the construction. And, you know, with that, it's really time to do the main activity, which is to get on with the games. You know, I think you've heard the speaker say this was a challenge to get to this point. And their part of that challenge is pretty much over. Now it's a challenge for all the rest of us to ensure that if you come back to this field in a year or 5 years or 10 years or 25 or 50, that it looks as nice as it does now. I also think that we just raised the bar on all our facilities in the city of Derby, because we have some other fields that maybe don't look like this does. And I think our challenge is to make sure that all of our kids playing any sport have the same kind of opportunities that we have here with the soccer. And I know the soccer parents and the players have had to deal with subpar fields for a long time. You now have the finest facility in the state of Connecticut. I'd like to be able to make that statement about all our facilities within a few years, and I know under the administration, with the support of all the people in Derby, that can be done. So I think now it's actually time to actually get this field open. And you know, I don't know, Mayor, can we get you maybe to do a corner kick? You know, I don't know. You know, I'm a former basketball coach, so I don't know much about soccer. Well, I think a corner kick. You know, there is one other thing that I failed to mention. When you look to the side here, there's a new vehicle in town. Okay, I don't know if you noticed it. Mr. Cotter is sitting over here, and the kids are having a ball with that. But you know, I have someone from the fire. Rather me to try and describe it. Mr. Leonard. Tom Leonard, you want to come over and tell us what this is going to be used for?
Thank you. First of all, to all the children, I grew up a little ways away from here. Spent my life in the woods playing here, and I hope that the kids utilize this as much as we did when we were kids. Just utilize this open area. It's a great place to play. It's a great place to grow up and a great place to live. So with that said, we took delivery yesterday of a vehicle. We have yet to name the vehicle, but it's a 6-wheel drive vehicle that we're going to be able to use to remove people from the woods, from parks, from the greenway, and treat the people as we're removing them. Prior to that, we had to carry somebody out of the woods who was hurt. We had to go a mile into the greenway to carry someone out who got sick. So this vehicle is going to take that place. It came to the city of Derby free of charge. It was donated by a company called U.S. Smokeless Tobacco to the Storm Ambulance Corps. This vehicle is to be used, as is everything else that we have, for the citizens of Derby to take care of them when they need it the most and when there's an emergency. And I want to thank a few people for this vehicle. Mayor Stafiri's office, John D. Barberi, they worked with us at the beginning of the year to put this grant application in. Representative Claridis worked very hard on making sure this thing was here today, and I want to thank her. I also want to thank J.R. Romano, who worked with Representative Claridis on that. So again, it's here for the betterment of the people of Derby and to take care of them when they need it the most when there's a medical emergency. So it's something we can all be proud of, and you can rest assured we're going to use it proud. Value of the vehicle is $20,000, and it came to the city of Derby free. So we can't go wrong with that.
Thanks, Tom. Our one wish is that it doesn't get too much use. With that, I just negotiated with the mayor. I guess we're not going to see a corner kick, but he has agreed to do a throw-in. So we're going to have a throw-in on the larger of the three fields that the youth program will be using today. So if you go down to the center, well, this very first field, we'll see what kind of athletic ability the mayor has. Mayor?
Bill, 5 more.